there are a couple of heartbreaking things about it. Number one, most women who get to know me do not want to marry me.
It's tragic.
That's the tragic part. But people listen to, people think that I am what I sound like on an album. Well, there's a lot of production on that album, and a lot of that's very deliberate. My life does not play out like my albums do. It's even worse than my music. And so what you hear when I put out an album, and like a lot of people have, we put a love song on one of the albums just because my producer decided to do it. He really liked it. And it didn't bother me to do that, but a lot of people have said, well, why haven't you ever done that before? And I kind of go, well, because for a couple reasons. One, I don't write that many love songs because I don't have a lot of occasion to do that. The other is, when you put out an album, you're assuming that people are going to listen to it, and you want to say things that are relevant to your listeners. So music that I write that is intensely personal and really is kind of my own business kind of music. There's some of it that I just kind of go, boy, nobody would really, this is not anybody's business. This is my own personal therapy going on here. There's no reason to burden listeners with that. So people hear those albums and they think that that's the sum total of who I am and what I'm about. I kind of go, wow, these albums don't address some of the real central issues of my life. And I have some real hang-ups. And I'm not... I think in some ways I'm real easy to get along with, and in other ways I'm not very easy to get along with. So I think people have the illusion, when you're a musician, they have the illusion that they know you real intimately and real well, and the truth is, you know what I have chosen for you to know. And I've shown you my absolute best side. The other tragic thing to me is just that it's a sad thing when we live in a world where we fall in love with people that we haven't met because we can't find anyone among the people that we've met that we're in love with. And I kind of go, it's so easy. I think some of us are so hung up about love that a fantasy kind of love, a love that we imagine, is more appealing than a real love. There's a real kind of flesh and blood beating it out of each other kind of love. And I think that's unfortunate. It's also always scary when people tell me that the Lord has told me that I'm supposed to marry them. Because I kind of go, wow, who is this Lord that you're talking to? Because I'm hoping I'm talking to the right one, and he hasn't told me the same thing. And just as a side on that whole God told me this kind of issue, but I'll tell you folks, that's really dangerous stuff. And I believe that God speaks to us, and I believe that if we are willing to listen, and sometimes even when we're not willing to listen, that God speaks to us. But I think it's always dangerous to take what other people say that God has told them about you too seriously. When someone comes to you and says, I have a word for you from the Lord, my recommendation is that you listen, because who knows who God is going to speak through. Listen carefully, but you go back to your scriptures and you go to the elders of your church and make sure that before you follow them too carefully or take them too seriously, make sure that it lines up with a real spiritual authority, because there's a lot of spiritual deception going on. And a lot of the people who are saying that are really good intended people. But what happens is they have a sensation, they have a feeling, and they confuse that for God. And I hope that I hope they don't confuse feelings for God in every area of their lives, because that could be real devastating.